Welcome to this 2 days training come workshop on child rights and child protection. Firstly, we would like to introduce ourselves. My name is Shannon and I'm from Faith Foundation. I would like to introduce Inakshi, who is the director of Idea the Ant. And we also have Pragati here, who's also from the Idea the Ant. So for the next 2 days, we'll be looking at understanding child rights, really understanding, really deep diving into what child rights is and looking at the 4 pillars of child rights. And most importantly, looking at child participation and how it is that we can have meaningful engagement with children in the work that we do. In the second, that is tomorrow, the second day, we're going to be looking at safeguarding and how each one of us or our departments, what are the measures we're taking or not taking and to ensure that, we're not putting children at risk. Looking at how, every department can work together to ensure that children are safeguarded. Looking at how we can mitigate the risk so that we do not put children, in any kind of situation that could, cause them harm. So I'm looking forward to interacting, I think for all of us, looking forward to interacting with all of you for the next 2 days. We're hoping that it would be a participatory kind of a session wherein we would also learn from you the same way that, we learn from each other because you're there in the field and you know best. So welcome everybody and thank you so much.
Just to add on to what Shannon just said, since it's a 2-day session and also a lot that you all are already knowing, so it will be a lot of cross-learning also amongst each other. So please feel free to share your thoughts and views and ideas. And since it is about child rights, we will really want to do some things which are normally associated with our childhood, and there is always a child within all of us. So we'll try and bring that out too. I think there's such a rich knowledge in the hall that the cross learning itself will be very, very enriching for all of us. And I think the best part of this training is the mixture of departments. Normally we have such programs specifically for particular departments and sometimes also district wise, but having this kind of a program which is inter-department and also from across different districts is really going to enrich the discussions that we will have through these 2 days. Like I said, there is a structured format of sharing information and knowledge from our end, but there is a lot of rich knowledge that is there amongst all of us. So the whole training program is more scheduled to be participatory and to have more cross learnings from each other and thought processes that can generate through discussions. There are a lot of, like someone said, theory to practice is important. There are a lot of theories and information and knowledge that exist, but how to actualize that into our context and make it practical for use in the context of the state and the context of the district or even in the context of the department that you work is very, very important. So we will request all of you to share your thoughts on each and every topic and also then see the cross collaborations that can happen among the various departments that are present here and also the other departments who might not have been able to join today. But I think since the law department is organizing this and taking the lead, they can circulate the information in terms of the cross collaborations that are required for a tangible impact to happen in the long run. So with that, we shall start the technical sessions from here on. And for the first session, we will delve into child rights, but like I said, we will do it through an exercise or a group activity through your sharings and learnings from each other. So I request Pragati to take us through on what will be.
Good morning to all. My name is Pragati. I'm from Guwahati. Since we're going to spend 2 days together about this concept, I have been working with this application since 2019. Before that, completed my master's education at Coastal Institution Subjects. And I was not a person who liked chicken. So actually when I said for
Do
I need the mic? So when I set for 2 interviews, I was asked diplomatic questions to know if I like children. And I was very stupid to say in an interview that I don't like children. Yet I got selected and I got to work with children. And over the past 5 years, falling harder and harder in love with children. So with that, children teach me and us new things every day. And the topic that we are going to discuss for these 2 days, I don't think we can ever learn completely about it. Every day comes with new information, and children come with their new actions, behavior, and new thoughts that talk more and more about child rights every day. As I was listening to all of you during the introduction, I can only say that this is not going to be a training but a workshop where we only discuss things that we already know, but maybe we will put them into certain boxes and under certain labels that comes under the definitions of child rights. So I think we can start the first activity session, whatever we like to call it. We would have to break into 4 groups. So I think we are, if I did not miscalculate, we are 24 of us. Can we count once? 26? Okay.
Maybe so, we can just move the chairs, turn around and make 4 groups.
Yeah. Yeah, we can, wherever we are sitting, we can move our chairs and break into 4 groups. There will be 6 in each group plus a few more in each group. Can you all help me form your own groups?
Possible.
Yeah, 4 groups.
Yeah. Maybe you can just turn your chairs. So, yeah, you can just turn your chair. So we have 1 group here, 2, 3. So I would request you would have to, but then we have more groups. That would not work. So can we request them to? So if you don't mind, would you join this group? And if ma'am, you can come here. That's okay. Can you move to the last chair so that we have 1 more here? So we would request if you can join the groups here. You can come back to your seat after the group work. So if you can just pause the group work. One can come here. One can go there, sir. If you can go to the first room. And sir, you can come here. We can pull a few chairs. And you can join that group. Yeah. Sir, you can come here. Yes. So we have 4 groups. Thank you.
We will need 4 chart papers later, not now. A little bit, yeah. So I have a few sets of photographs with me, which I will give to each group, and it is just as simple as we need to go through each photo, not just maybe one glance, look at it carefully, just think about it, and discuss among our own groups what we see in that photo. And if all the team members in each group can share what they feel, it will be a more wholesome discussion in each group, and then we'll come to the later part.
A set of photos.
A set of photos can be same, can be different also. We can take 10 minutes for this. As you are discussing your observations from the photographs, we have given chart paper and sketch pens. Now if you could please write down your observations, whatever you, as briefly as we can, like in bullet points if we can mention, so that in the sharing it is better for all of us to share. I think we'll start the presentations now. Since we are going to talk a lot about children, and we see that children usually don't sit at the same place for long, so we shall also just try to bring out the child in us a little bit. So for presentations, can we please come there?
Whoever is presenting.
Whichever group is ready to go first can volunteer. Okay, they have already volunteered.
Very good morning.
Good morning.
So, being the group number 1 for presentation, I, with a little bit of lack of time, shortage, but yet we can all the 6 of us, 6 of us, we can elaborate a little bit, alright? So, out here we have got 10 pictures, okay? We have got 10 pictures. So,
this is the first picture.
This is the first picture, right? And according to us, is the violation of survival rights. Can we see poverty? Can you see the picture? So, will you agree with us?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Second picture is it talks about. Second pictures it talks about violation of development rights. We can say substance abuse. Since we all know that in today's society, like substance abuse is one of the major cause where our children is being affected, and especially being a part and parcel of the child protection. We have seen child abused children right in a daily basis. So yes, this picture symbolizes drug abuse, and this is not only for the children. You can see that there is adults out here. So we can see that peer pressure also. Okay. Okay. Picture 3. Okay. Child marriage. Even though in our state, Meghalaya, East in each and every district, I don't think so we have like registered of child marriage. Okay, but yes, we cannot say no that children below the age of 18 cohabit as husband-wife and then later on go as POCSO. So yes, this is a symbolized
it's a violation of the participation rights.
Participation rights.
Society also accepting.
All right.
No, you can answer. You can answer.
Another thing about child marriage, okay, maybe it's not there in our society, but then it's an example how the society itself is accepting this kind of violation of rights.
And it's illegal. Yes. Picture 4. It talks about violation of developmental rights. We can say, can we say child labor? Okay. Picture 5.
Violation of protective rights.
Picture 5, we talk about violation of the protective rights. Yes, it talks about. As this picture, for us, it symbolizes child sexual abuse. So, yes, child sexual abuse is one of the major cause. Right? That's why POCSO Act is there. Okay? But yet, even though we have Act, child sexual abuse is still prevalent. Alright? Picture 6. This is violation of protection rights again. The picture is symbolized as he might be a teacher, or it might be, a person who has got authority, and can we say corporal punishment? So those are we have got 10 pictures, okay? So 6 pictures it talks about violation of rights of children, okay, negative with the negative impact, and now let us talk about the positive impact of some of the pictures we have. Picture 1, it symbolizes a loving family environment. Can you see this? Where there is 2 hands, okay? Yes, it symbolizes, we can say that since we do have adoption, okay, it might say that the child is going for adoption, or it might say that the child is with a protective hand, both mother and loving family, okay? Picture 2, yes. Picture 2, it talks about a loving family, yes, resiliency to poverty. Yes, we can see poverty here, but yet the family live in a very peaceful way. We can see here.
And the family looks happy.
Yes. The third picture, it talks about protective environment, child environment. Can we see all the pictures here that the children are smiling? Okay. Can you see that the children are being protected? Okay.
Not only protected, they are being empowered.
Empowered.
I think maybe they know their rights. They know their rights.
Yeah, but secured. Okay?
Yes.
Yes. And the last picture, it talks about supportive, protective, development. Okay. Yes, developmental right. And yes, for us, it looks like, not look like, we talk about RT, right to education. Okay. So with this...
and it falls under the development rights.
Development rights, okay. So with this presentation, we like to conclude, okay. Thank you so much for the team, alright. Thank you, Bob Paul, and
thank you, Kanezi. Thank you.
Good morning once again. I am representing the group 1. So my team has from the pictures that we have identified, like in the picture number 1, as you can see, both parents, they are busy with their mobile phones when the child, their daughter, wanted their attention. So our team have come up with the words, which is written like this: parents are too busy in playing mobile phone with no attention being given to the children. Then in picture number 2, as you can see, this young boy is holding the gun. So here our team has come up, a child is being exposed to violence and war at a very tender age. Then in picture number 3, as you can see, the caring mother with the child coming to the health center, to the nurse for the health checkup. So our team has come up with the words: responsible and caring mother taking her child for medical checkup. Like how the team number this thing. Are you agreeing with the picture? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Then in picture number 4, as you can see, there's different children. They're wearing some kind of costumes, showing the astronauts, the architects, then doctors, then pilot, like that. No. So here our team has come up freedom of expression and the ability to nurture their dream. Then these 2 pictures, as you can see, in the picture number 8, is the children, they're enjoying their meal, and here also, children, they're enjoying their meal. So we have come up with these words: distribution of proper nutrition and rights for good health, enjoying and expression of happiness. Then in this picture, as you can see, these 2 girls are enjoying the water. Here we have written leisure and recreations. This is also some kind of freedom of expression. Enjoying the small thing. This is how the children feel. They are so innocent. They enjoy the small things also. And they don't worry. So in the last picture we got is here, you can see this, it looks like Iranian children. They are playing in the open fields with some tent house, with lots of garbage around, but still they enjoy, like how I mentioned before, like they're so innocent, they enjoy the small things. So our team has come up with this word like war-torn area, with children being deprived of good nutrition, health, education, shelter, water, and so many things. Thank you from our team.
Going through this picture, we all are seeing children are reading newspaper. Do children read newspaper? We don't usually see children read newspaper. But in this picture, lucky we see that 2 adult people were showing them the newspaper. So what we learn from here is that we see that the children, they already learn. They already know how to read, right? How to read and learn things. So what we see from this picture is that we, the adults, are giving the opportunity to the children to learn things, to be more explored in whatever they are learning daily. So by giving them the newspaper, showing them this man is quite interesting, showing, see, this is that. So it's one way where the children are equally participating in this daily thing of the world by reading a newspaper and by knowing that these are the children who are very much accessible to right of education. So this is the meaning of the picture we have in our
I started reading newspaper from class 6 and now I'm
yeah, that's very nice. For you, sir, that's very good. But in my locality, in my community of where I've been brought up, we don't usually read newspaper until we understand the meaning of what to read in the newspaper. So they are quite, these children are quite fortunate to get to see, to learn about many of these. I'll pass the mic to Natalie.
Okay, so picture two is basically about inaccessible areas in public spaces. So this is also a violation of the rights of persons with disabilities because they should also be given equal opportunities as the same of other persons. So yeah, so inaccessible and inequality is what we understood from this picture. Okay, so the third picture is also quite similar. What we felt was maybe this could also be looked at as a private space, but this is more accessible. So in the previous picture, we could see that it's a public space and it was inaccessible, but in a private space, it is more accessible. You can also say that it might be, an Anganwadi center or, LP school or something. But the reason why we said a private space is because we saw some blankets hanging, we saw some children, some in uniform, some slippers outside. So therefore, we thought maybe it could be a private space. Yeah, accessible is because there's a ramp, so the mother can take her child up into the house. So it's important.
This is a poor picture. As you can see, the child is smoking. So this is like the child nowadays is being exposing too much. No, like they are being exposed where you can see nearby near the school also they are selling cigarettes, they are selling like alcohol, this and that. No, so that's why this we have been come up with the points like peer pressure, then abuse, they're being abused like with tobacco, and then third part, low ineffective. So these are the points we come up in this picture number.
Here are the picture. As you can see, in this picture, I think that there's a gun and one child who is being abused. So as we come to this picture 5, there's a crimes against children, child abuse and child trafficking. So this is a message that you can see through this picture.
As we can see in this picture, there are children playing. So, assumption from this, we can say that there is a lot of open space for the children to play, and also it's age of the play. The children are all in the same age group, and a little bit in the back we can see children with few children without uniform. This can be, there's no opportunity to education. Then also here by playing there's social, emotional, physical development happening. Picture number 7, as you can see, so with the digital world right now, most of us will do that. Most of the children are stuck to laptops or computers. So you can see the influence of digital media. And if you can really see here, the meaning of the suite, it means more towards instant gratification, where the children actually feels happy or satisfied, with watching or using these digital platforms. So in this picture, we can see that awareness is being brought up, by children against drug abuse. So it shows more towards freedom of children to express what they feel. We're giving them that platform, and also we're also giving them empowerment and advocacy to speak about what they feel is not right in the community. and as well as opportunity even as students to participate, in this big issue towards drug use. So as you can see here, we can see children sitting in a room, and most of them are, like within age groups that are teenagers. So we can see this is right to freedom to express, and also giving children the, empowering them to talk about the things that they feel, and expressing as well about the issues that they feel, and also talk about, basically give them that platform and forum to expression. So most of us would agree that this would relate to child labor. So here we can see that the child's right is, to education is not being taken away, and also there's lost childhood in the child. Thank you. This is. Thank you.
He didn't bring one of whether we are supposed to be group one or group two, so whatever group. We will share what we see in the picture, and whatever thoughts we come up with, opinions. So the first picture we got was kind of a nurse from the Catholic Society giving a free health camp to children. So we are looking at point number one, it's like community support for children. Point number two, actually some of us are from ICS. So we are also relating to preschool, children attending preschool in a private school or a public school, showing, children participating. So according to the ages like 3 years to 6 years, we have this program in social welfare department where children participate. So they will have a holistic development, be it physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and all kinds of development in the age group of 6 years. Then we have another picture, picture 3. We see people coming from outside and interacting with the entire, village kids and their mothers and children. So it's we have come up with community-based event. It's one of our programs also in ICDS office. So you see that this person is explaining to them and they're all listening. So it's kind of trying to create some awareness. So according to this picture, looking at the back side of this female adolescent group, according to what we see. So we are seeing that according to our opinions, and we shared among us, that they're giving the adolescent girl a platform so she can express and speak up her opinions and feelings as to the news. Now we have this really scary looking picture because from the picture itself, child abuse, child after being abused, hiding in a corner, undergoing mental trauma, stress, also fearing, fearing many things around him, remembering things that have happened to him or her. So we have just written as child abuse and self. You look at this picture, you find most of them are disabled. Some are limping, some are short, and they all, happily playing, enjoying. And we have rights for the disabled persons, children with special needs. They have rights and equal opportunities in schools, universities. In fact, now in jobs also, there are jobs reserved for the disabled. Should be inclusive actually if there are departments that are not having special needs for disabled persons. So according to this picture, we see like guy dressed in a police uniform and bullying this guy. According to us, it's bullying. So there are strict laws against bullying, and the child showing a lot of fear and feeling down, Down syndrome, all that. We have this written as child bullying. This one we see they are no longer children actually. I think they are in the age group of adolescent stage right now. They are 19, participating, and picture shows like equal rights for girls and boys. Because in India, it's very recent that we are having equal rights actually. Prior to ancient societies, there were girls will not participate. Now we have equal between girls and boys. According to this picture, can be South Indian kids or African kids. I mean, of course, we don't base it on the color, but it's like I think it's in Africa. And in spite of being cute, they are so happy. They're smiling, planting trees, and of course, if you look at them, they're not very healthy. Some are malnourished children, but in spite of that, they are happy and planting trees, saving the environment. This is the last picture. First, we wrote like poor, happy family. We looking at the house, we see they're poor. So, but when you look at them, the child seems protected and safe. But the wife seems in shock. Maybe the camera effect. But they look like they're happy, small family. So it adds to like maybe family planning. Yeah. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you so much. I have done this activity multiple times, and this today has been one of the best insightful sharing. There are a few photos that are abstract, like the photo where I think your group only saw a guy dressed in police uniform. So yeah, it's sad that there are not very appropriate photos on Google also, so we tried to manage, but some photos go a little abstract. From whatever you all have shared, I tried to segregate as you all were also doing, protection of developmental rights and protection. So I have tried to keep 4 segments, and we shall come to this. But before that, we started with just the random activity, but we have to now talk about what we are talking about. Talking in terms of definitions, because we all know that these pictures were about child rights. Every picture meant violation or safeguarding of some or the other right of the children. So I think I will just go to the presentation and then again we'll come back to this. I have written in my own words so that when we discuss the next thing, we are more clear about the pictures.
You use it. No, the black one. Remove the slide.
So we will try to look at the history of child rights. We keep talking about child rights, and maybe in bits and parts we all know about the history. Maybe some of us know the entire history also, but let us revisit. So the First World War ended in 1918. And as we all know, in expectations also, Nancy would like to talk more about children in conflict situations. We all know that when under.
Should we break for tea and then start this?
I just thought about this one movie.
Yeah. Sorry.
So when disaster happens, conflict happens, war takes place, children, women, and similar marginalized groups are worst affected. So even during World War, there were few people who thought the most about children and women. So there was this person called Eglantine Jem, who just after the First World War ended in 1918, realized that children need special protection. We cannot talk in general terms that everybody needs protection. We have to specifically talk about children's protection. And that's how the whole dialogue, whole conversation on child rights that we are talking about today started. Now, this interval will go for tea and then we'll come back because I have been told that there is tea. So we'll go with the suspense and come back in 15 minutes. Thank you. So can we resume? So we were talking about Eglantine Jem, who started thinking about special protection of children after the First World War ended. And followed by that thought and the entire realization and the willingness to take some action. So followed by that, in 1919, Save the Children was found. We have heard about Save the Children, the international organization. Have you heard about it? Yeah. So it's an international organization that has been working for children, with children since then, and has been supporting a lot of children in the rural marginalized areas to get access to their rights. So Eglantine Jeb, along with the other people in this organization, drafted a document that was called the Declaration of the Rights of the Child, and they sent this draft document to the League of Nations. So after the World War, many countries came together to work for different social welfare causes. So this draft document was sent to League of Nations, which was called the Declaration of the Rights of the Child. In 1924, the League of Nations adopted the declaration and named it the Geneva Declaration. This was specifically for the rights of the children. In 1924, the League of Nations adopted this and they gave a name, Geneva Declaration. And the Geneva Declaration, it says a lot of things, but they specifically highlighted this: humanity owes to the child the best that it has to give. So this whole initiative moved forward with thoughts as such. So in 1959, United Nations Child Rights Convention, the conversation started to begin, and the whole thought that was initiated by Eglantine Jeb after the First World War, it moved forward with new additions, with more inputs from different social activists, government departments, non-government departments. And then the Geneva Declaration, it was then called the from the declaration they had a convention. So the people who were part of the League of the Nations and different other activists and individuals working for children, with children, they came together and had a convention, like a seminar, where discussions on promoting and protecting the rights of children initiated. And the United Nations Child Rights Convention said a commitment to the world's children and International Human Rights Treaty. So many countries, I'll come to how many countries signed this declaration later. So many countries came together and called it an International Human Rights Treaty. So child rights, now people started talking in terms of child rights being a human rights. Usually when we talk about children, we adults take decisions for them, and we think that children are just children and cannot think like adults, or they do not have enough rational decision making thoughts or abilities. But then this UNCRC recognized child rights as human rights, as any rights that any other adults have. And after the completion of 30 years of the Geneva Declaration, being named as Declaration of the Rights of the Child, in 1989, many countries came together to sign it, ratify. And this convention says childhood is different than adulthood and lasts until 18. It is a special protected time in which children must be allowed to grow, learn, play, develop, and flourish with dignity. So, does anybody know the answer to this? Yeah, we can take guesses. 1, 194, You said something. 70. Any last guess? 200. Okay, let's see. As of 31st August, 194 was close to that. And when did India sign it? Which one major country that has not signed? US, China, Korea. Goes to you again. United States. They have not signed it yet. And when the UN, the 196 countries came to, back then it was not 196 countries in 1989. So all the countries who signed the declaration, it was 20th November. In India, we celebrate Children's Day on 14th November, but World Children's Day is celebrated on 20th November. So in 1989, that day, many countries signed it together. From that day, this day have been celebrated. But this was way back in 1928, when these activists, along with, you can see a child also, came out after the First World War, and that whole poster kind of thing you see, that's the Geneva Declaration. So they came out and protested and asked for the rights of the child under all circumstances. So this was a very brief timeline of how child rights and the dialogues, conversations around child rights have progressed over the years. Now if we come to the inputs from the presentations, UNCRC, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, they framed 54 articles that talks about protecting, safeguarding different rights of children for, this will be given to you, for the growth and flourishment of children with dignity that the UNCRC talked about. And summarizing these 54 articles, UNCRC again tried to make 4 pillars of child rights that we all just discussed in our presentation. That's what we tried to show in the pictures, and all of you were given pictures from different pillars. So if I go through this, this has sharing from all the groups, but if I pillar wise share, safe shelter, a house or a home to live. You all saw a picture in a refugee camp, that is again for that time being providing a safe shelter to children and all affected. Health services, access to quality health services. Parental neglect, this was the picture, but what is the right is parental love and care. Loving family environment, adoption, care of children, right to live for the children with disabilities and able-bodied children of course. Access to clean drinking water. There was one picture one group has shared as poverty. A child was collecting water from a dirty pond, small pond kind of a place. So that was shown as a violation of the child's right to have access to clean drinking water. Nutrition or nutritious food. Vaccination. the nurse giving injection to the children, or children showing their fingers after vaccination. So these things that came from your sharing, these fall under right to survival. And we did not include one picture in among those pictures, that was prenatal care of pregnant mothers, because this right to survival of children starts from the day the mother conceives the baby. And the whole concept of 1000 days of growth, that also the care of the pregnant mother, the mother getting vaccination, iron folic acid tablets, and all the prenatal health services and care that a pregnant mother should get, also comes to the child as its right. So these elements come under the right to survival. Next, we saw pictures of child sexual abuse, child marriage, substance abuse, corporal punishment, exposed to violent situations, protection of children from war, violence and conflict situations, kidnapping or abduction, child trafficking, cybercrime, child labor, and the one picture that you saw, a boy in police dress, and that was, we tried to mean juvenile crime and juvenile justice. So these things, different sentences are meaning violation and protection. So these come under right to protection of children. Then if we come to the next pillar, we saw pictures of children planting trees and taking care of it, that I have put as participation in nurturing the environment. Children understanding the importance of safeguarding our nature and environment, as well as taking part, showing in action, voicing out thoughts and opinions. An adolescent girl who was speaking on the mic, addressing a huge number of audience, that was a platform that was created for children to voice out their opinion, not adults talking on their behalf. Children have their own opinion and thoughts, and they should get the direct opportunity to voice them out. Reading the newspaper was access to information. Then the wheelchair, there were two pictures. One where the child was going on the wheelchair through a ramp, and there was a wheelchair that could not go up because there were no ramp. There were only stairs. So this was in concern to wheelchair, but there are other kinds of disabilities also. So children should have the accessible infrastructure services so that they can participate in all circumstances. Then the protest rallies, the awareness rally photo that you saw, that was a right to take part in social initiatives, activities, direct participation, active participation. Participation of children of all categories, able-bodied children, children with disability, able-minded children, children with intellectual disabilities, children from different class, caste, gender, race, everything. The photo that talked about a few children taking the help of assistive devices and playing, that picture talked about all kinds of children getting to participate in sports, different social activities, cultural activities. Then take active part in issues or programs concerning children and other related concerns. There was a picture where children were sitting. That was a workshop or seminar kind of a thing where children were also participants in the meeting. There were not only adults who were sitting as the chief guest or speakers, and children were just listening. They also sat as panels or moderators and shared how they think a direct communication of their children's thought to adults and fellow children. Participatory classroom environment, the Anganwadi photo that we saw. So, even going to classrooms, children, as we all have met children, have spent time with children, they like to participate. Initially might not open up, but eventually most of the children open up and they like it the most when they get to participate. So, like in Anganwadi Center or Kidsies, there is always learning through play or engagement or active participation. And then there was a photo where there was a few people were conducting some meetings and children were also there. That photo meant participation is in community meetings, Gram Panchayat meetings and different meetings which are otherwise thought as if it's for adults. But children should also get to take part in meetings along with adults at times. Because if I take an example of Gram Panchayat meetings, in Gram Panchayat meetings, there are discussions about children's welfare also. A child may talk in a very childish language or tone, but whatever it is coming from the child. So the child should get to voice that out or share it directly. And there was a photo where they were doing some drama or dancing. So that is pointed as showcasing talent. So all these things come under the least talked about pillar, right to participation. Like ma'am shared in the morning that which children were also part of this. So we often think that in our meetings where we discuss about children's rights and how should a project be about children, we usually do not have children. So they have the right to participation. And then we come to the last pillar. We saw classroom, children studying, education for all. Then children in different costumes of doctors, engineers, astronauts, that is career options and opportunities. Then again nutritious food was for right to survival, as well as it comes here also nutritious food. Emotional and mental well-being, access to information comes under this pillar as well. Accessibility to infrastructure and services also comes here. Physical well-being and social well-being, playing together, indulging in physical activities, exercise or play. Then opportunity and platforms to play for all children across different identities and inclusive education. This thing comes under right to development. So all the pictures that we saw in the morning, and we very correctly identified the issues tried to be portrayed in the photos, they can be categorized under these four pillars: right to survival, right to participation, right to protection, right to development. And all the four pillars are equally important, but many a times we give more importance to one pillar and the other one is neglected. But it is very important to discuss about all the four pillars together and reflect at our work how much intersectional interventions we are bringing when we are working with children and talking about promoting and protecting child rights. And these are the photographs, of course, did not cover all the issues that fall under these pillars. We have tried to bring out a few, but this was a summarized version. When I have these articles by the UNCRC. I can, these are here, you can read it, and you will also get to read it in this, which will be given to all of you later, and then we can again later cross check at our own time how these articles are trying to ensure these rights to children. So this was an overview of what child right has been, and what are the 4 segments of child rights. Now we cannot only, it is not enough to talk till here. If we have to form policies and start working on child rights in the field, have to do something that children also, we also owe to the children. We also have to talk about laws and policies and connect it to what our country has for our children. So to discuss that, I will hand it over to Inakshi. After this session, are you all up for an energizer activity? Because we are sitting and we need to be a little bit of jumping like children. So after this session, now, okay. So can we take a 5 minutes and stand up? Okay, I would like you all to make a line, queue. And come a little. Okay, keep some distance from your neighbor. Yeah, little ahead. Yeah, you can move forward a little. There is a traffic jam. Okay, now you have to listen to my instructions very carefully, and you cannot cheat. You, whatever happens, until and unless earthquake comes or some emergency situation occurs, you will not turn back. You will not turn back until somebody pats on your back. Your neighbor at your back has to tap. Only then you look back, and your neighbor will show you something, and then you show it to your neighbor in the front. Am I clear? Some of you might have done this, but it's fun every time we do it. So I shall start. I'm going to the last. No looking back. Please join here. You can come here. Okay, no looking back. Okay, now the last person will come here.
Yeah, we can all come inside the room.
Yeah, you all can sit now in your places, and now we will see. Yeah, please, you stand here. Now we will see what was the first action shown and what was the last. What did you see? What did I show you? Yeah. And what did you see from your person at your back? And what I showed him was. So, yeah, thank you so much. So much of fun.
Of the UN Child Rights Convention, which India is a signatory, and because of being a signatory, we are obliged to follow and meet those standards. The other guidelines under which all of us operate is also the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. And almost all the Sustainable Development Goals, except for the last one, which is 17, has some implication or the other on children. So there isn't like any one particular which we need to be very specific. All the SDG goals have an implication on children and need to be catered to. So we'll just look at some of the things now in the India context about child rights, and how do we define in India child rights, and where does all the emphasis on child rights come in when we are talking about India. Just want to start with this quote of Nelson Mandela, that there can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way in which it treats its children. I think apart from the legal frameworks and the mandates that either UN or the Sustainable Development Goals gives us, it is our own reflection as a human being, as a society, as to where we are when it comes to child rights. Because, the way we treat our children is reflective of us, our society. So, who is a child? What's the definition of a child? Can anyone share? Okay. As per child labor, it's below 14. Okay. Below 18. So which is it actually? A below 14 is a child or a below 18 is a child? Generally. But we have exceptions also. 15 to adolescence. 15 to 18 is adolescents, no longer children. As per Child Labor Act. The Labor Department going strong. Great. Yes. Adolescent groups as per health is 10 to 19. So 19. Beyond 18. But they also follow the labor law, which is slightly different. That's also within the legal framework. Is it? No, sir? Yeah. And the health department, which is a critical component, also talks about 10 to 19 as adolescents. Yeah. Below 10 is child. And above 10 is adolescents, 10 to 19. Yeah, so in this is the context in India that we are struggling with. And child rights activists across India have been working on this and advocating for a more well-defined, standardized, because these are leading to difficulty in implementing programs and initiating also policies. So, like you rightly said, as per the United Nations, it's 18 years, Labor Act 14, Mines Act 18, Factories Act 14, Plantation Labor Act 14, Apprentice Act 14, Right to Education 6 to 14, JJ 18. So there are variations within our legal system, and that is where I think there is sometimes difficulty in doing a concerted effort, because when you come together, your definition of child as a department is different from another's definition of a child. So that leads to a lot of difficulty in implementing programs and also collaborations. What is a right? Do we have also a common understanding of right? What is your understanding of the term right? It's an entitlement. Great. Anyone else want to add anything to that? And what do you mean by entitlement? Legal right. But that little deeper definition of the word right? So, freedom. Great. Justice. Bestowed to the child by the government. Yeah. So there are these two words, rights and needs, that normally come to people's mind when we talk about rights. So when we say rights, your right is what someone else must do for you. And it also means what someone must not do for you, do to you. Discrimination, abuse. So both what I am entitled to get and what I'm not supposed to be dealt with. Rights are entitlements, like rightly said. Rights emerge from needs and desires. However, the most basic needs are referred to as rights. Like education, health, these are basic needs. And that is why these needs are referred to as rights, because they have to be ensured. Without fulfillment of basic needs, a child's normal development cannot take place. Rights are considered as fair and just for a person to have. So because it is a justice issue, that someone said, it is just that every citizen of India should get this. So because it is a justice issue, that is why rights are to be bestowed by the government or ensured by them. Rights and responsibilities go together. However, needs are not linked to responsibilities. So rights and needs differentiation come from that your need, which is basic, will be ensured. That becomes your right. But beyond that, it cannot be linked to responsibilities for the state. Why should children have rights? We go quickly. Children are human beings and require safety and opportunity for development. personality formation takes place during early childhood. Therefore, child-friendly services and nurturing are of utmost importance. This statement is far more important than the first statement to, we are building a society, like someone said in the morning, right at the point of the introduction and expectation, that they are our future. And because of which, whatever they get now is what you will get as a society in the future. And that is where it is very, very important that the childhood, and we have doctor here, like the first formative years, right from the womb till I think the first 5 years, which is the 1,000-day concept, is also very, very important to acknowledge that in that first 1,000 days of a child, a very, very high percentage of the development of the mind, emotions, everything happens. So in the first 1,000 days, the environment that you are giving a child, we have the ICDS here, is what is going to shape the entire life. The child might live 80 years, 50 years, 100 years, but those 1,000 days are going to have a major impact in the entire remaining life of a child. So that is where this is very, very important. Children need much more care and help than grown-ups do. Being young in age, they cannot participate in the politics or judicial system despite contributing to society's progress. Legally not allowed to vote, don't form a part of the decision-making or judiciary processes, and that is where things that is being decided for me, I am not a part of. If I gift you a beautiful sari tomorrow, will you use it, ma'am? Do you wear sari? Oh, you wear saris. Does it? Oh, you drape it. You are a gent. Okay. But will you drape it the way I drape it? But, okay, that's great. Thank you for doing that. But, if I give you a color that you don't like, will you still drape it? It's maybe not. Or it's not the style that you are used to. Even if it is a gift, if it's not something that I like, I normally don't use it, right? I get a shirt which is this loose, not my size. Will I wear it? I will not. Because it's not something that suits me or I'm not comfortable with. And the same thing happens with children. We are giving them everything without really asking them. The policies we formulate for them, decisions we make for them. I know what's good for them. Yeah. So again, being young in age, they cannot participate in politics and judicial system. That is why they are not involved in most of the cases, and that's why it is important that they have rights so that it gets addressed. During early years, they are dependent on adults and therefore need extra protection and appropriate care. Again, like the first case, they need safety and opportunities for development, and they need to be given or provided by someone else, because by themselves it is not possible for them to. The Constitution of India is equally applicable for all, both adults and children. So the entire Constitution, right from its preamble, the elements of freedom like justice, all of that is equally relevant for every child. Some of the articles of the Constitution that are very, very specific to children that are being listed here, and there are few more, like the 12A, free and compulsory education, Article 23, protection from being trafficked and forced labor, Article 24, right to be protected from hazardous employment, 39, protected from abuse, labor and exploitation and abandonment, 47, the state is bound to raise the level of nutrition and standard of living and improve public health, including that of children. And there are many other very, very pertinent articles in the Constitution from which the articles of UNCRC really tally and gives the further impetus for the government to work on child rights. A few specific articles that I'd like to also share is Article 51. International laws and treaties shall be respected by the state to every possible extent, including CRC. So the Convention for Child Rights, after being ratified, this has come into being, and the optional protocol on the sale of children, child prostitution and pornography, optional protocol of involvement of children and armed conflict have also been mentioned in the Constitution. Article 51, it shall be the duty of every citizen in India who is a parent or a guardian to provide opportunities for education of his child, or as the case may be, ward between the age of 6 to 14. There is the article for compulsory education, right? Free and compulsory, the government is supposed to give free, and yet we always keep getting the feedback that because of the poverty conditions of our country, parents are unable to send their children to school. But if you look at Article 51, the Constitution is making parents and guardians responsible towards the education of children. So actually, if it is below 14, even if there is a condition of poverty, that cannot be a reason why we can have any form of abuse or neglect or child labor for children. Article 43 provides the institutionalization of childcare by seeking to entrust programs of WCD to panchayats. Again, this is an important article because it is talking about dovetailing the departmental roles also towards local governance. Panchayat is the local governance system of our country. Shillong, Meghalaya is still working on the system, and what is being said is that child care along with WCD should also be the responsibility for panchayats. Normally across the country, what we see, what is the role of panchayat? Village administration, infrastructure development of the village. That's what they will talk about. They don't talk about issues of children. That WDC will do, WCD will do, that ICDS will do. But the Constitution says that local governance is also responsible for the children in their area. So it is very important on how we integrate child care issues within society, within communities, within the local governance systems. Like I said in the beginning, children have all the rights as equal citizens of the country like any other adult. In the last few decades, we have seen a lot of empowerment and entitlement driven approaches and rights based approaches. But in all of this, children's rights are something which is very, very critical, which we should not neglect, because they cannot stand up for their rights, so we take it for granted many a times. While we know that the adults will assert for their rights, the children primarily might not be able to do that. And that is why there are a lot which are not considered in this rights movement. And yes, many a times people like us, adults again, try and stand and speak on their behalf, but it is equally important, like someone said in the morning, for them to be on such platforms to be able to speak for themselves. But I think that's a journey that's going to happen over time. But the more and more that we recognize this fact, that they are equal citizens and they have a right, we will get to that space. So some of the child rights related act, and I've picked a few most pertinent ones, is the Immoral Trafficking Act, which talks about women and girls. That's why the adolescent girls come into being. The child labor, one of the most important acts that across India is being very, very specific to child protection, is child labor issues. We see that everywhere across the country. The Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act 1994. This was basically to prevent female feticide, because there was this abortion, the ultrasound detecting whether it's a girl and a boy, and then if it is a girl, there was female feticide that was happening. So this act came into being in 1994. The Child Marriage Act 2006, again a very, very important act, especially like some of the people said here in Meghalaya, it is very, very important. Though there is no formal marriages in most cases, because of which the act cannot be put into place. But I think this is something that also needs to be talked about in this stage. The JJ, a very, very important step that was taken in 2015, because before that, even children, how they would be addressed when they are in conflict with law, how would they be prosecuted was very, very difficult. But this act has been a very, very transformative act on those lines. The protection of children from sexual offense, again in 2015. This also is a very, very important act, which we will talk about more tomorrow. Basically, all forms of, it is trying to protect children from all forms of sexual abuse. Rights of person with disability 2016. 13 onwards, there have been tremendous laws which came into being in the country, and those which were very, very important for the country. So PWD Act was one such act. This is particularly for persons with disability, but it has a lot of clauses for children with disability, especially inclusive education and opportunities for higher education, have great specific interventions written in the act, which were very, very encouraging. And then the RT Act 2009 was a landmark again, making free and compulsory education from 6 to 14. So these are some of the Child Rights Act which are important from the child's rights perspective in the country. There was also a national policy for children in 2013 which is not much talked about, but I feel it's a very, very important document, and I think many of the things that rolled was after this policy document came into being. The last National Child Rights Policy was of 1957, and after a lot of considerations, in fact, we had this. I was a part of the Northeast consultations that were held across all the states, and we were leading this. And a lot of things came out during the national policy debate and discussions that led to the final formation of this policy. It is a very brief policy document, but quite well detailed. And the fallout of that was all the acts that came into being in the various forms. For Meghalaya, the SOS Village Meghalaya at that point of time was leading the consultation along with us. So the preamble of the National Policy for Children 2013 talks about a child is a person below the age of 18 years. Defining child, this was a big debate. Should we keep it, write all categories, this, that. But at that point of time, we could not do much, and it remained at 18. Childhood is an integral part of the life and value of its own. Children are not a homogeneous group, and their different needs need different responses, especially multi-dimensional vulnerabilities experienced by children in different circumstances. I think this came into being to recognize that there are different groups that need to be addressed, like children on the streets, children in conflict with law, children with disabilities. So each will have its own needs, and they need to be addressed by the government. Till the time it's a basic need, right? So this thing of just saying children as a homogeneous group is not going to work was what the child policy very, very categorically spoke about, and looking at vulnerabilities to address them for children specifically, even if it spread across different departments, that needed to be addressed. That was one of the major discussion points of this policy. And the long-term sustainable multi-sectoral integrated inclusive approach is necessary for overall harmonious development. Here again, the emphasis of multi-sectoral, of bringing together the different departments to address it, was very, very much important to be emphasized. The reaffirming that every child is unique and a supremely important national asset. Special measures and affirmative action are required to diminish or eliminate conditions that cause discrimination. All children have a right to grow in a family environment in an atmosphere of happiness, love, and understanding. Again, the family environment here was very, very important. Setting up institutional care and taking children away from home into institutional care was very, very categorically discussed to be not the best option for the child, and keeping the child in a family and social environment will allow the child to be a more positive and productive adult. That is where this thing was very, very carefully talked about, that we should ensure that children grow in a family environment in an atmosphere of happiness, love, and understanding. Families are to be supported by a strong social safety net in caring and nurturing their children. And the families should be supported for ensuring that the children can be taken care of. It cannot be that parents and guardians are not able, so then the state takes over. No? There are many countries who do that. State, you are not able to take care of your child, state will take over. They set up big institutions, and children are kept there, and it is a big economy in itself. But our country, it was very clear in saying that we believe in bringing children up in a family environment, and the families need to be supported where required, rather than institutions being created to put children into institutions. So I think the national policy debate was really setting the tone for the work of development in the country for children. A few schemes that I would briefly like to mention, the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, the ICDS, the ICPS, the NRHM, Mission Indradhanush, the Disha School Readiness Program, the Poshan Abhiyan. So there have been the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. There have been a lot of schemes that the government has been initiating towards ensuring safety and protection for children, and also their survival and development. Any questions so far? Or any thoughts anyone would like to share? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Considering that children will be with us till we pass
they go out and
with a conscious decision. And I have seen in some of the clinics where the same they keep their children in the institutional stuff for the when their children are small. Somehow they are attaching with their parents. This from small age. Somehow they are engaged with the family and when they are grown up, if they have to go away during the weeks, they don't have that much feeling for their parents. Somehow they do this. Like it.
Sure. Very valid point. Anyone else wants to share any thought? Yes, yes.
These new schemes, some of the schemes here. So now this National Rural Health Mission is already revamped to National Health Mission.
Oh yes.
So it's not anymore National Rural
NRHM
Health Mission. It's National
Health Mission. Yes. Thank you.
And then regarding free and compulsory education, practically it is many cases different. All children are supposed to have free and compulsory education. And then we have lots of private schools, semi-government school and all that. So normally people prepare non-government schools than government schools. So even if parents are not having good income or good means of livelihood, somehow they struggle to send their children to some better school by paying fees when free education is available in their house. That is one critical reality.
Yes. So the problem is free education with quality. That's where the struggle comes in. For even a parent, yeah.
It's the same for free healthcare. Yeah. Free healthcare is never a priority when
right to health is yet to come. Yeah, there is PHC now. There is, of course. It's there. Just that the act. Sir.
What sir just now said, yes, free education. I have seen in free education in our state. They are supplying free books, but not enough syllabuses. Like in some schools, they are not getting enough books. Like maths is not available for class 4, sometimes for class 5, and sometimes they are not available even the other subjects. Hardly they used to supply 2-3 books. And even teachers are also not sufficient. In primary education, there is another pre-primary, nursery and A. Then after that, 1 to 5. So teacher is only 2. In some schools, single teacher. You see how one person, one teacher will complete the syllabus, finish the syllabus, take exams, take classes.
And with so many children.
With so many children. So this is the problem we are facing. So something is lacking from the government side or from the society. So it has to be looked back by even by the education department, even by the administration, even by the society. Then only the children can go to the pre-school, of course. Even they are giving the free education, but you see, lacking of books, lacking of teachers, lacking of infrastructure. During rainy season, some schools are roof. How they will sit. While rain comes, okay, now you go to your home. Yeah, this kind of social. These things are happening in our state.
Thank you, sir. Very important point. Sure.
So there are many cases, particularly in the case of government school, where there are two very perfect teachers, but either very few students or no student. Whereas there are also some schools where, like we said, teacher is only 1 or 2, but there are so many students. Now, when the departments want to streamline posting of teachers, then the teacher institution say, moreover, we need to respect some of the public representatives. So that is a technical.
Yes, very true. Yeah, so I think these are the practical realities that we live in, and we will just try and run through some of the statistics for the state of Meghalaya as to where we are and how things are in the state. So, we will talk tomorrow about protection, right to protection. So, I will not cover the right to protection part, which we will talk extensively tomorrow, because the focus of this today is on lot on protection. Participation we will talk to the afternoon, but what I would really like to talk about now is on survival and development. So, some of the statistics for the state of Meghalaya in terms of survival. If you look at the sex ratio is 989 for children. Ratio at birth for children is while if you really see the sex ratio per se is 1000 above, but for children it is lesser. So this is something which is concerning, that while our adult sex ratio was 1000, why is it that the sex ratio is coming down? And this is something that we need to think about. Our children's population is 37.3%, which is a real big number of children in the state. But the infant mortality rate for the state is 32.3 deaths per 1,000 lives, which is quite high in the country. The global SDG standard is to bring it down to 0 or 2, but here we have 32.3 deaths, and the under 5 mortality is 40 deaths per 1,000 lives. In fact, Shannon was sharing during COVID, this percentage had gone up much higher also. Also because of the problem of institutional delivery, because that time access was a major issue. Institutional births as per NFHS 5 is still at 58.5%. I think in the state, institutional delivery is yet to be really picking up. Births attended by skilled health personnel is 64%. Children receiving postnatal care is 44%. Fully vaccinated is 63%. Children in the age of 6 to 59 months who are anemic is 45%. So almost half of the children are anemic. Children in the age of 6 to 23 months receiving adequate diet is 29%. A child getting good diet is only 29%. 70% of the children are not getting a good diet, is what the National Health Statistics is saying. 16.9% of the women in the age group of 20 to 24 in Meghalaya are married before the age of 80. So 17% of young girls would get married before the age of 80. 7.2% of the women in the age group of 15 are already mothers. So 7% of the women below 18 would be mothers. And we know the implications of early pregnancy on the entire health of a child and the mother. So the infant mortality and the maternal mortality death rates will not come down until these statistics come down. It's interlinked. And I think this is more than a health issue, also a social issue. So the dialogues and debates have to be around that. So adolescent fertility rate of women 15 to 19 is 49, which is indicative of teenage pregnancies. Would you really like to yes.
So, for my colleague, Ms. Richard Yanowson, before retirement, he told us about one critical issue that what will this later, maybe to a girl who will have. The marriage, he came for compulsory system needs. In the court, the office is found that the girl is not. It's at 18 years, below 18 years. So he was put under also.
Yeah. Now the law is getting stringent, but how many insights that you want to share?
Yes, actually, it's from my experience. Recently I was posted in civil hospital, so I was not so much aware of all these things. So recently now I'm posted in DHS, so I'm taking care of adolescents' health and anemia, and even the quality services in the hospital. So like when you are highlighting all this, statistics and data in this platform, yes, it is really, really, heartening and then disheartening and then really, really, painful for all of us being a Meghalayan. So, the main thing is not teenage pregnancy, like you have mentioned, like you have highlighted. So, even in this, in our program, the adolescent health, like what we are trying to do is like, we are trying to give more importance in this through counseling, through, communications, and so many things we are trying our level best. And with the leadership like Ram Kumar sir and Sampath Kumar sir, like they're doing so much for the health department, like I have shared with sir also. I think with their leadership and with their guidance and support, I think the health department will come up in a very progressive way. And then like how she said, like the health system also, like even the free health services were not being done. So all these issues will be resolved with this kind of leadership and with this kind of guidance. So what I feel like all this data, all this, I think it will take time, of course, because it's very, very challenging. Very, very challenging. Like, it looks simple and it looks, like some department must be judging and some department must be thinking why this they are not doing this and that. But it's really, really challenging when it comes to the practical manner. So, but like I said, with Ram Kumar sir and Sampath Kumar sir, if we have a leadership like that, then I think we can improve a lot in the health.
And I think it is a complex issue, because by the time they actually reach health, they are already pregnant. So now you have to go before they become pregnant. Now that is where the child is. The child is in school, so the education department has to play a role. How is the counseling and things happening in the school? Right? They are in the society. What are the mechanisms that are in the society? Maybe the social welfare department with young mothers, with, so again that exchange, you wanted to say something?
Sorry.
No, yeah.
When you talk about, education department coming into this role, this kind of addressing the issues, actually the health department and education department, we already have that school health and wellness program. So through this platform also, like through teachers, like we are trying to give the awareness sessions for the young girls and boys about the issues about teenage pregnancy, mental health issues, and substance abuses, all those things. So it is like, of course, like what you said, it's an intersectoral or interdepartmental, activities, or we should work together as a team. Then only like we can fight or we can help our children, to come to the right path.
And it has also been seen that, sex education is such a taboo thing that even in our families we don't talk. So tomorrow we'll have a long discussion on, not talking, is it really helping? So there is a need that we start at our individual level, at our family level, at our society level, through religion, through all bodies, how do we work on this? Because this is a very, very important element. Now if you look at development, again, if we look at statistics, children age 5 years who attend primary school stands at 31.2%. So there is a low enrollment of children in the younger age. While the enrollment is there, but the thing which we have seen is that children go to school late in Meghalaya, especially in rural Meghalaya, I am saying. Yes. Right? Yes, I got it right. Yeah, that's the culture maybe. But again, all the implication of that when the child goes late to the school, how do they cope? What is the whole thing? So there are a lot of implications on the development graph of children. If you have supportive parents or educated parents, it would have a different implication. We are not saying that school education is the best education. You can do homeschooling also, provided you have the environment at home. Now with, again, Meghalaya having larger, bigger families, the workload in rural communities on the parents, especially women, is much higher for them to be able to take care of the children's education in that small age. So again, there is a whole consequence of this that we need to look at. Female population going to school is quite good, 85%. However, primary standard dropout rate stands at 9.8 as per statistics of 2022, which was much higher earlier. It's come down from the double digit to a single digit, but still even 9.8% dropping out of primary school is quite high. Female literacy rate is 72%. The percentage of women in Meghalaya with 10 years or more years of schooling is 35%. As per NFHS, a woman who has had more than 10 years of schooling is only 35%. So 10 years mein to class 10 hi pahunchoge aap. So beyond class 10, there aren't many. So higher education is a problem for women. %70 do not go for higher education as per this statistics. The SR test done in 22 says that more than 70% of 8th graders in rural areas cannot do division. So like what sir was saying, a single teacher school will barely be able to teach the student 1, 2, 3, 4. Division is a long story. So, this is the, we feel Meghalaya education is very high, but this is what your NFHS data is saying. Your SR test which was done. There are a lot of schools without electricity and computers. That's again, I am only stating reports which are there. So I think there is no indicator of the tin roof, so we could not get that, but there are a lot of schools without education and computers. And sports and co-curricular activities also needs attention. There are hardly any facilities, especially in the government schools, for sports and co-curricular activities. It's almost close to zero in terms of government schools. I'm not talking about the private schools here. If we also look at it from the SDG performance, because that's what all governments are being accountable to now. No? Sustainable development goals is what all governments are responsible for. So there was a Niti Aayog report which had come out, and for the 7 states in Meghalaya of Northeast, or rather 8 states of Northeast, Meghalaya is ranking 7th. Yeah, the first is Sikkim, last is Nagaland, and second last is Meghalaya. Out of the 103 districts that were considered in this ranking, East Khasi Hills ranked 57th and North Garo Hills was at 98th position. So there is a wide range of disparity within districts in Meghalaya, and that's something that needs to be considered. Sure. Meghalaya's ranking is low because of health and well-being of infant and maternal mortality. So this is one of the indicators which is bringing the statistics down. Maternal mortality and infant mortality. And both are very much linked, and then also linked to the whole thing of education and the thing of teenage pregnancy, early marriage, I will say marriage because of course most of them are not, they live in as partners mostly, but early marriage and early partners. Quality of education, East Khasi Hills was ranked 25th and West Garo Hills was ranked 98th out of 103. In the districts all over India, out of 103 districts, West Garo Hills was ranked at 98. Yeah, Southwest Garo Hills, sorry. Even on goal 5, goal 5 is gender. On gender, which we think, because being matrilineal, we have a very, very empowered women. But goal 5 also, East Khasi ranked 95. And West Garo Hills was better at 78 when it comes to gender. So these are some of the statistics for the state of Meghalaya on survival and development particularly. Any thoughts anyone wants to share? Yeah, so I think while we have been doing well, but statistics also say that there is a lot that we need to do. And there are a lot of work, especially around children and adolescents, that needs to be done in the state. And I think collectively, if all departments come together and work, most of these statistics can be addressed.